Hey guys, Flair here with FBW Gaming. We are picking back up where we left off in the previous video, talking about teams in MSF and their gear points and stopping points. And as a new player, where do you take them to? We're not talking about the end game where things will naturally go to. We're talking about the beginning when you're still kind of working on teams and as you're potentially acquiring some of these teams. So do know we're talking about a lot of in-game teams, yes, but as we're collecting these characters, until you're at the point where you can work with them, where should you take them to? Anyways, we're gonna pick back up. Thanks for gaming with us. Let's get back to the video.
So, because remember, guys, all of what we're talking about here is being as efficient with your resources as possible, because as a new player, you're going to be looking at, oh, I need to take up this character, I need to take up this character, and I've got this gear for this person and this person and this person. But then you add that one extra gear tier, and you're like, all those green pluses went away. What happened?
Yeah.
It's because you don't have as many resources as you think. Right. Or you go, oh, I've got this whole team. Let's go upgrade. And you're like, well, shoot. Now I don't have any more gear. And especially as an early game player, it takes a long time to acquire a lot of those
It still
pieces.
takes a while, even at like D3 levels of play.
Yes.
Especially when you're gearing a team. It's all mutants. Cough, Axemen.
Yeah. I mean, like, even my late game and having when I'll just go ahead and whether you keep this in the video or not. Before Emma came, I had 400 of every single purple gear piece, and I am almost out of mutant purple gear now because of the Axemen. So it goes quick.
Yeah, I had close to 200 pieces of everything, and my stuff went bye-bye. And then I had to spend a few extra days getting Iceman up to gear 11, I think, just to get him over that 40k power so that I could balance the team out.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So after this, we've got a bunch of teams that all have value, and you've separated them into offense, defense, either, and then we've got, and this is one of the things as well, we've kind of mentioned at times that there are pillar characters in teams, and those pillars are the characters you want to bring up. Sometimes that is the entire team because of the nature of the team.
Right.
And sometimes it's a single character or three characters. You can usually reduce it to three characters that are the most important characters on the team.
And I've tried to do that in the spreadsheet with some minuses and plus in the parentheses. And looking at it, maybe there's a few more that we can add, but and what we did on this was we kind of split them up based on where their efficiency works best. It doesn't mean it's the only place you can use them. So what we have here is the only 5 true defensive teams right now in war in alphabetical order is Asgard, Marauders, Mercs, the Red Skull, Hydra, and Shield. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use them on offense. Fury Shield is an incredible offensive team. Apparently, people are pulling, again, now this is a hybrid, but people are pulling Red Skull to offense to punch up on teams. Marauders and Asgardians are both wonderful on both sides of the war, too, but they have war defensive buffs in their kits. So, that's kind of why they're there. And then obviously you have other teams that are built in particular to be offensive teams to combat, certain teams. Astonishing X-Men is the newest. Brotherhood is there to counter. They counter Mercs. They counter Shield very easily. Inhumans and Baron Zemo counter the Red Skull teams. Power armor. Shadowland is obviously supposed to be touted as, as a Black Order counter. I'm not convinced in that yet, but we shall see. So if they're a Black Order counter, you definitely want them on offense. Symbiotes, again, they're great everywhere, but if you have them on offense, it's a point and kill,
pretty much.
Same thing with Uncanny X-Men and X-Force. They counter so many teams, and so they do the same thing. And then just to kind of round out the other teams that we've talked about or that are on our list, Black Order's good in both sides. Fantastic Four, if you want them on offense, you build Namor. If you want them on defense, you build She-Hulk. And so the Pimtech and Skilletary, because they're so new, they have the value on both sides because there is still a little bit of I don't know what these guys fully do necessarily at times.
Yeah.
And then Sinister Six, particularly with Doc Ock and Supernatural, are the last two that we had that again, they're fine on defense and they're fine on offense. So it's just kind of a matter of what you want to do.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
I know in our last couple of wars, we saw some Doc Ock send 6 teams, Gear 14 Doc Ock, and they were just absolutely massive. And it was like, yeah, we're not going to be able to take that one down.
Yeah. If you don't have a counter, they're brutal.
Yeah. So
sure.
we were like, well, let's just detour.
Yeah. Other way, please. And yeah, so, and you know, kind of going through all these, you know, and you know, if there's a team on here that's not, you know, like, again, if you like Young Avengers, I like Young Avengers, especially because they work great with ISO. They really show off what ISO can do. And so, like, I have them built up a little more than what we would efficiently want to call them at being, but I use them as an attack team. They're used for these kind of mid-range kind of punch ups and everything, because Captain Marvel's Captain Marvel and the rest of the team just kind of goes with her. But you know, all these other teams are really good, or they're supposed to be this team, like Shadowlands. We don't have Moon Knight, we don't have White Tiger. We're speculating, and they're new characters, and new characters have kits that are just better than most right now.
Yeah.
They're
and
the
then
latest
you also
and greatest.
have the issue of Wakandans were not the Apex Raid team. Skilletary is not the Merc counter that everybody thought they would be. So there is some disappointments. There are some marks that are missed as well. So you have to take that into account. And so if you never want to build Skilletary ever, and you're like Flair and you like the Young Avengers, then switch the spots. You know, you're not going to hurt our feelings. Again, these are just suggestions based on kind of what we're thinking. And then even with this list, as Flair already pointed out, you've got pillars of the team. So you build them and you leave the rest of them down. You know, like he said with his Wakandans, you do Shuri to level 60 and you leave all your other guys at 45 because she'll carry the team. Like you're not, even though my Hydra are level 60, I will not recommend you taking your Hydra to level 60, except for Baron Zemo and Red Skull. They're the two valuable ones. And outside of them, it's kind of meh. You know, so
like my Zemo is 14 and Crossbones is 10, just because I need him to live a little longer in some of those longer drawn out Red Skull fights. But after that, it's pretty much those two do most of the work. Grenadier is just kind of there for a while to give some focus, but the rest of the team is there just to be bodies to take a hit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you take your pillars to that level 60, you leave your lower guys at level 45. And again, there's a lot of, you know, different opinions, and that's kind of the nice thing about this game, right? I put all of the symbiotes at level 60 because they're all very good and they will carry you in the late game. But you know what? You can leave Venom down if you want. You can even potentially leave Scream down at 45 if you don't want to build her. I have all 5 of the X-Force up here because I love them. You know, they do wonderful things for me in war.
Yeah, they're
but
massive.
Domino doesn't have to be real big. Even Cable and Deadpool, I don't know how big they have to be. Negasonic and X-23, you want them up there a little bit, but you know, so mix and match and switch, and then even then, as we alluded to before, you've got hybrid teams. And so if you're using hybrid teams and you're not even using the full shield team and you're only using Coulson and Fury, then you leave the other ones down. You don't build the other guys up. You know, so that there's a lot of mix and matching. So again, it's more just suggestions than anything. But the biggest thing I would go ahead.
I was going to say, this is also kind of side skirting the fact that certain game modes are requiring us to bring up teams. You have Do More that's requiring us to bring up, you know, one of either 2 or 3 different factions. And so you're forced to kind of bring them up to a certain level. And while we don't have all of these teams, like we have Wave 1 at 45 on this list. But realistically, most people will probably take Wave 1 or some hybrid of Wave 1 and Fantastic Four into the nodes that require Wave 1 or Fantastic Four or Avengers and Fantastic Four. You're going to take those characters in. So this is kind of before we're hitting the end game. We're still really talking about that early level process. You're going through, you're working towards DD2 and getting Ultron and fleshing out your roster. Once you get past that point, then we can start splitting hairs over, oh, should I take the whole team to 60 or should I leave part of them behind? Or is this team really just utterly trash?
Yeah, and again, if you stick with the pillars and the top characters of their teams, then even in the Do More, right? So if you've got well, I'm trying to think of one of them. It's like Supernatural, Hero Supernatural, and something else. So based on our list, Ghost Rider is definitely top of that list. Elsa Bloodstone's a pretty good one. Whereas Scarlet Witch is probably not somebody you want to build for that, because she's kind of the least valuable person on that team anyway. So if you kind of stick with a priority list as far as even the teams and then the characters within the teams, then you're still following that and you're being efficient and still able to do what you need to do to beat the team.
It can just be like shifting the team up one tier, where their positions are, instead of taking the whole team up.
Yeah.
So like you can go through some of these nodes with a really big character and everyone else is a little smaller. And it's all going to be, your mileage may vary. And again, we're not claiming to be experts at all of this stuff. This is kind of, we kind of banged our heads on this a little bit and we're like, here's where we think these teams should be. Here's where we think, based on natural power creep of characters and stuff like that, here's where they probably should go.
Yep, yeah, 100%.
And that kind of gets us to that last column there that we haven't really addressed. I think we alluded to it in the previous video, was that level 71 is it, for you, even for you guys, you're at the point where resources are so light and so valuable that going beyond that level 60, that gear tier 10, even again, and we said 8, 9, or 9, 10, 11, you can hit all of those in level 60. But going past that threshold, going up to like 71, gear tier 12, and then especially get into the orange gear, you've got to be very mindful of who you want there. And I will say, as somebody who has entered Dark Dimension 4 and is now stalled in Dark Dimension 4 because of gear pieces, don't take the cheap route. Don't, take the characters that have value in your roster. I mean, the only decision I made was I took Sabretooth over Emma. I don't necessarily regret that, because that made my Marauders even bigger. But at the same time, Emma would have made it a little bit easier. But yet here we are still waiting on the Cosmic Gear Tier 15 pieces. So it's going to take a while for you to get the Gear Tier 14 pieces, the Gear Tier 15 pieces. It's going to be a while, because they're not very kind when it comes to, being lenient and allowing you to get those pieces. So why take up a Shield Trooper? Do not take up Shield Trooper. For everybody that is taking a Shield Trooper into Dark Dimension 4, don't do it.
That's a hard no, guys. Hard no.
I mean, I understand he's cheap. I understand he doesn't need uniques, but he does need orange gear. And as somebody who ran out of mutant orange gear, X genes, we're not talking catalyst, we're not talking uniques, we are talking
origin pieces.
Origin pieces. I ran out by taking up 3 characters, mutants to Dark Dimension 4. And I have been very stingy, extremely stingy on who has orange gear in my roster. So if I'm running out, you're going to run out. So be very, very, very careful with who you take up, for sure.
All right. Well, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something. If you learned something, or maybe there's a team on here that you think we diagnosed them wrong, and we said Namor needs to be 45 gear 8, and you think he needs to be 60 gear 10. Hey, let us know why, and for what your thoughts are. We always welcome good feedback. Guys, as always, we wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So thank you guys for gaming with us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you guys watching us. Flare, Crash, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. And guys, we will be back later, right after this. We'll be coming out with a Blitz effectively video, so stay tuned for that. Any final words, guys?
It's a game. Play the game the way you want to. At the end of the day, play the game you want to play it. But if you want to be effective and efficient and stuff like that, at least listen to some opinions on stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, listen to opinions and don't always seek out people that tell you what you want to hear. That's probably not going to be the best opinions. But yeah, and again, like we said, this is flexible. As Biscuit pointed out, you build Namor, She-Hulk, whether you want them on the offense or defense. You know, there's a lot of choices in this game. Make choices that you want to make and have fun with it. But, you know, here's some guidelines to maybe help you along the way.
Absolutely. Well, all right, guys, you guys stay tuned. We'll see you guys on the next one.